Hi, welcome back to my channel, Regain Your Core. If you watched the first video, I explained that the core of a person's identity is their heart, their character, and beliefs. Now, today I'd love to talk to you about the heart, our precious heart. And one of the things when it comes to our heart is the birthplace of our emotions. That's where we make decisions from at times. That's what allows us to be vulnerable, to exude empathy to others, or compassion. And so our hearts are really important. It's important for our hearts to be in a good place, to be at peace, to be whole. But as we all know, life happens, right? Sometimes we get pain, we get heartbreak, we experience things that causes our hearts to be worn, to be tired, to feel betrayed, to feel angry, to feel bitter. And so, what can happen when we're not in a good place, when our hearts are not in the best place possible, when we make decisions from a broken place, when we make decisions from a bitter place, when we make decisions from an angry place, it may not always be the best thing. And so, I just wanted to really talk to us about what we can do, or how we can really just begin to nurture our hearts better. Because when we nurture our hearts, then that allows us to be able to make decisions that align with our values. That allows us to make decisions based on really who we are and who we'd like to become, which is relates to our identity. So I just wanted to talk to you about nurturing your heart. Now, the other day, personally for me, I know my hand is not in the right direction, but I was really just feeling that my heart was worn. I had experienced like a couple of things, over the past few days, and my heart just felt like just tired, not broken, just tired and exhausted and worn. And I just felt my heart speaking to me. Like, do you ever feel like your heart speaks to you? Do you listen? And so I really just felt my heart speaking to me and just saying, like, I'm tired. And when I spent a little time to really talk to my heart, I felt like my heart was just saying, like, you haven't been making the best decisions for me. And so I'm just really a little bit tired. And so I placed my hand over my heart, and in so many words, I told my heart that I was sorry, that I haven't done really as good as I could do by you. I haven't always made the right decisions. And I just put my hand over my heart and said, I'm going to do better by you. I'm going to make better decisions for you so you can feel whole. And I felt better, because really our heart, it speaks. Again, that's the birthplace of emotions. And so we really have to pay attention to our hearts. And so one of the ways we can nurture our hearts is to become attuned with our hearts. And becoming attuned is really being aware of what's happening in your heart and to your heart. Like, do you pay attention? A lot of times we may not want to pay attention because it could be scary, but it's really important to pay attention to what our heart is feeling. Does it feel bitter? Does it feel broken? Does it feel angry? And we can know by the responses that we're giving others, by our motives, by the decisions that we are making, really the conditions of our hearts. It's important to know the conditions, because when you know the condition, then that can help you identify what it needs. So when I realized that my heart was just feeling like worn, I understood that in that moment it needed to be comforted, but I would also know that something had to be done. So we need to become attuned to our hearts. Then once we become attuned, learn to become attuned to our hearts, because it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight. Some of us may think, oh my God, becoming attuned to my heart, like what? We have to learn to talk to our hearts, right? That's a part of you. Learn to talk to our hearts and connect with it. I spoke to my heart. I put my hand over my heart and said, I hear you. Like, I see that you're not in a good place. And our heart speaks to us. Our heart tells us what's happening. Our heart tells us, may not always be right away what it needs. And it's worth it to really talk to it, because it'll speak back. And once we do that, it's about understanding what to do next. And so one of the ways, after we talk to our hearts, we can get an understanding of what our heart needs. Then one of the things we can do that to begin to nurture our hearts is to begin to make small decisions that's good for our hearts. Like, a lot of times we may think that making great decisions is what leads to lasting transformation, but in reality, it's really the small decisions that lead to great change. And so, even if it's one decision, right, a small decision that we can make that's really good for our hearts, that will allow our hearts to heal. For example, that decision can just be apologizing, whether to yourself or to someone. Like if you know that you need to apologize to someone, if you believe in the crevices of your soul that you need to apologize to someone, whether that may be yourself or someone else, that can do your heart good. So I even made like one simple decision to honor my heart, and it felt good. And what happens is when we begin to make good decisions for our hearts, then that builds self-trust. And self-trust builds character. And our character is a part of our identities. And so I just really wanted to encourage you today to let's all learn to become attuned to our hearts. Let's learn to talk to our hearts, and let's just begin to make small decisions that are good for our hearts. Doesn't have to happen all at once. We're not trying to healing our hearts is not a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And so I really truly believe that we can begin to heal our hearts by beginning to learn to nurture our hearts. So let me know what you think about this video. Leave your comments. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Okay, subscribe, and then share this video with somebody that you think it might be good for them. So until the next video, take care and God bless.